everyone to Two Pagans in a podcast. I am your host today, Fro Double G, and joining me is a man who seems to have misplaced something. Beard?
I was shuffling my tarot cards and one fell out.
Oh, well, hopefully all this isn't picked up on your audio.
Oh, that's ironic. Okay. All right.
It doesn't count. I've played D&D.
No.
Floor dice don't count.
Oh no, it's the death card, which is the second time today that it's fallen out of the deck.
Well, put the motherfuckers away then.
Well, no, it just means that there's
I don't know much about
new
tarot,
beginning.
but third time's the charm, and that's just and all that.
Well, no, death doesn't mean death. No, it's just that there's a new beginning, a change coming.
It's
way
the
to
end
start
of
fresh,
something.
kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, the end of something, beginning of something else. That's what
Right,
death
right.
is. That's all it is. So, but Fro,
Unless I want to be super negative and be like, yo, but my grandma died last week, so. Which is somewhat true. Somewhat true. Not my literal grandmother. But, if anyone who grew up in the country knows what it's like to have a country cousin, like someone who's not actually your cousin, but you grew up like damn near family. Like I received Christmas cards from the lady signed from grandma, you know what I mean? Like, but she's not my grandma. But yeah, that was unfortunate.
that is unfortunate. That's you're
I did say that
from all
half-assed
angles,
to be a shit just because you dropped the card. So that was to be a shit. No pity party for Fro over here. I'm doing all right. It didn't hit me nearly as much as my brother 3 weeks ago. Trust. Ha!
Understandably.
I'm doing well, people. No worries. Yes, I am hosting, so I should get us back on track. You're with your book here, and that's because we are starting off with a stanza. And I, as usual, have the Study Havenmall from Hugin and Moonin Publishing, focused, because Carrie owns it. Carrie Overton, focused as fuck, owner of the thing. Yep. Released a video about it. Go watch the video. Beard has the
Translated Poetic Edda by Liam Hollander.
So, if you are ready,
which is a very short description compared to yours.
I am. Well, I gotta do the whole.
I know. Well, I can start with the Hollander, so you can ramble about your three.
All right.
So we are on stanza 8, the 8th stanza, the stanza of 8. Happy is he who hath won him the love and liking of all, for hard it is one's help to seek from the mind of another man.
All right.
That's Hollander for you.
Next we have Bray. Happy is he who wins for himself fair fame and kindly words, but uneasy is that which a man doth own while it lies in another's breast. Thorpe. He is happy who for himself obtains fame and kind words. Less sure is that which a man must have in another's breast. And lastly, Bellows. Happy is the one who wins for himself favor and praises fair. Let me start over. Happy is the one who wins for himself favor and praises fair. Less safe by far is the wisdom found that is hid in another's heart. So, I'm going to come out and say I like Bellows' ending because he kind of lets you have, as a more modern reader, it's easier to understand what they're trying to say there. Watch out for other people's advice. That's a little low key what that is right there. And the rest of it, I think they all kind of touch on pretty well. You got it's a self-esteem thing, right? You got to have a little self-esteem, self-confidence, the best you can.
Yeah. I would say maybe too. It hints a little bit at like, have self-esteem in yourself, and when you have those kind words about you and people think highly of you, that's good, but don't rely on it.
Yeah. Yep. There we go. All right. So let's pull a Bob Seger here and turn the page. Place my bookmark on number 9. We're good to go next week. Boom, boom. So I've been reading Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology with my kids. I'm pretty sure I brought that up.
I think you brought it up last week too, yeah.
So my kids have been getting really excited about reading it, but there are certain stories where like we are in the wall building story right now, right? And we just are getting the part where Loki is told that he needs to go distract Swadalfari. I need to do a little pre-reading of this before I actually read it to my kids and let them read it, because it's like, I don't know how graphic you get. Because there was a one bit at the start where it's like, oh, they sculpted man's genitalia and women's genitalia. And it's like, well, it's scientific, and I don't know if they know what it is. And if I'll just blast right through it, and they got questions, I guess I have fucking answers that need to be presented. My kids are, they're not dumb, right? 8 and 9.
Oh, your kids, I was gonna say, yeah, your kids are like towards the tail end of elementary school. I mean, by now they've had some kind of health class.
Well, there's actually a bit of a difference between the two, because they're just on that like age range, or the age thing, where even though they're a year apart, they are 2 years apart in school. And that's a bitch. That's a real bitch, dude. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Because it's like a year and a month, but in that month difference in their age is the cutoff point for the next school. For the schooling. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's one of the things that we have lucked out, is that our kids are oddly enough evenly 5 years apart.
I don't know if that's
from each other. I mean, it creates its own nightmare.
You got a fucking third of the way done, and then you restarted.
Basically.
So yeah, I don't know if that's luck, man. I mean, I guess we could say a quarter of the way, right?
Yeah. So like
I'm not one of those parents that's like, my kid wholeheartedly knows, yeah, at 18 I expect you to be looking for your own place and like try to find your own place, but that's just because you're an adult now, and I doubt you're gonna want to live with me. You are not booted out of my house at 18. Now, this isn't a free ride until you're fucking 30, right? No, that ain't how this works. But I never understood the mentality of like, you're 18, get the fuck out there on your own. It's like, hey, yo, I might charge you a little bit of rent. Probably not, just because I want you to go have the best opportunity that you can. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, teach the bird to fly the best it can before you fucking shove it off out the thing, right? Let it grow as many feathers as possible before you kick it out the nest. I don't know how it's... Although I do get it, because I've seen friends that are like, yo, get the fuck out of your mama's basement. Literally. So, well, I say friends. I don't really... Who you associate and friend with does kind of affect you a little bit, so... While I have no problems being acquaintances and like showing up and hanging out with these people at places, I don't often like go to the houses of other people and like hang out with other people that I think aren't really like trying to at least do a little bit of something with their life.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with having a friend that's a good friend to party with. Like, there's definitely nothing wrong with having a friend for a good time, but...
Oh, and I think everybody, once you get to a certain age, you have at least that one friend. That one friend that's like in your age range or maybe a little younger, who is just the party hound. So that way when the time strikes, you're like, I'm going to go hang out with that person and we're going to go get drunk. Just because I need the day off.
Yep. But, so, quick little bit of housekeeping, if you will. We do have a Discord server for anyone who's in the Great Lakes area. Feel free to hop in there. It's the Great Lakes Pagans. Down in the description. We have at almost 50 members now. My Facebook group, the Heathens, Wiccans, and Pagans of Southwest Michigan. At almost 50 now. I'm so flabbergasted. I think we're at like 49, 48. But,
right, you've had, I think in the last 2 days, you've had like 2 or 3 requests that have been popping in there.
And then beards, we have
Wisconsin Pagan Resources.
Yes. Feel free to hop in there.
Or is it Pagan Resources of Wisconsin? I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, let us know. We won't have links for that, just because it is our Facebooks and stuff attached. But if you hop on the Discord, comment, Twitter. There's ways to get a hold of us. We'll get you hooked up with that.
Yeah.
Discord will be the best. And
most certainly.
Before we get going too terribly far on here, most of this episode is going to be Beard about ranting. I say rant, Beard talking, right? I had my week last week to talk about my Ostar ritual that I have planned. So we figured, you know what? Fuck it. Let's have Beard talk about his.
Yep.
Now that I think about it, I probably should have switched the background video off from the snow. I didn't think that went through. I'm sorry. Next week,
it's all good. It's actually snowing here still.
I know. It's still snowing here too. That's why I'm like, I didn't think about it, because like we literally, like, I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, I gotta go brush my car off. Cool. Awesome. I mean, all the snow's gone already, but welcome to living around the Great Lakes. It snows in the morning, gone by the time you get out of work, somehow frosted by bedtime, and then snowed again in the morning. It's a hell of a cycle, people.
Right.
If you ever want to know why it sounds like our noses are plugged, they are.
Generally, yeah.
It's just that simple. That's great. Yep, I freeze at night, thaw during the day. It's great. Anyways.
And then it's this time of year that, it's trying to get warmer, so then it's all the allergies and crap in the air, and
in the
one day it's because you have a cold. One day you have a cold, next day you have allergies. It never stops up here. All right.
Well, it doesn't get any better throughout the summertime, because it fucking, like, you walk through a cloud of humidity throughout the daytime just for it's like, oh, here's going to be 1.5 inches of dew on everything. It's like, why is everything so wet? It's great. It's great. I do love Michigan, though. So before we get going on, I have not one, not two, but 3 different pieces of artwork that I need you to pick from that we're going to show off. I mentioned how I wanted to start showing off more pagan artwork, more pagan crafts. Well,
it is, yes.
I've been crafting, and my kids like doing art. So I have some art or craft to show off to kind of start leading the charge here. And also, if anyone has anything they would like to share, please, again, get a hold of us. I'd love to share more than just our shit. So,
absolutely.
I need you to tell me, do you want to see the kitchen star, the flower crowns, or the flower spirit that my daughter drew?
Oh, in the spirit of it being almost springtime, if that matters this far north, let's go with the spirit drawing.
All right, so I am going to reveal it for everybody on camera here. It should be right up there. Beard, if you go to the Great Lakes Pagans Discord, go into the sharing section and scroll up just a little bit. I have actually shared that already. So this lovely photo, my daughter made a sunflower, just randomly drew a sunflower with a bunch of balloons surrounding it. Just go with it.
Oh, yeah.
But in the middle of the sunflower, she drew a big ass, like it looks like a ghost. It actually kind of looks like if anyone has seen the movie Princess Mononoke.
I was just thinking that.
All the forest spirits that are in Princess Mononoke, or I forget what it's called in Japanese. I think it's Shintoism or just Japanese mythology in general. They have like the awkward size eyes and all that. It very much so looks like one of those sitting in the sunflower. And my daughter came up to me one day and she's like, "Here, I drew this for you." I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" And she's like, "It's a flower spirit." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I would have said that it was a flower ghost because I thought she would have went ghost, but I didn't even know she knew what spirit necessarily meant. She's like, "No, it's a flower spirit." And this also is coming from my daughter, which, remember how I say I have one that's a witch, one that's probably a Christian, and one that I'm pretty sure is pagan? Pagan. This would be the pagan kid. So for her to just come up and be like, "Yo, right here, flower spirit," I'm like, that's great. So you can kind of see it in the video, but this is actually in my witch cabinet that I have now. I taped the picture up on that because I like it. Makes me happy. Proud papa moment. But that would be our flower spirit that we have there.
All right. Before I get into what we're doing for Ostara, 16-minute mark, Fro. I have to talk to my daughter real quick, and I don't have a way to mute my webcam thing. What is up, kiddo?
Oh,
Well, Wednesday because of ACT
then walk away.
cheerleaders. So I have no school tomorrow and Wednesday.
Okay. All right. I just wasn't sure if it was going to pick her up on the microphone, so sorry
I
about
did.
that. So
Next time, if
I
you
did?
got to pause
Okay.
like that, just walk away.
fair enough. I will do that. But I will.
Well, it's
I will
just
make
if
a
your
note
mic's
here.
stuck on your webcam, right? Then just move away from the mic.
That's probably the better idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize.
You're good.
Anyway, Ostara. Ostara is a thing.
Yes.
So I've
Ostara's
also
a
been
thing,
doing.
AKA
I have been
Pagan
doing-
Easter.
So Ostara. Ostara is a thing, right? And you talked about the big gathering ritual thing you're doing in a couple weeks or so over in Michigan.
Although,
so
real quickly,
in-
I know I got to stop you because
Okay.
I made the Facebook event, right? But no one has put that they're coming to it yet.
Ooh.
I know that people are going to come, right? Because one of the people who responded is my cousin. By the way, turns out cousin, Pagan, and my aunt. My aunt. I kind of already knew. It was my hippie aunt, right? And so I was just like, you know what, the group's big enough and we got enough Wiccans in there that like I know and she posts enough fucking like Wiccan ass shit anyways. Like I've seen enough so as above so below shit on her page that it's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna send this to you real quick. Dude, she was in there for 5 minutes and she's like, why don't you send one to your cousin? She would love it in here. And I'm like, all right, there we go. But yeah, it is a little frustrating. I do know people are showing up though, but it's just like as I sit there and the only people who responded are my wife and I, and it's like 2 people going. It's like, but I know the other people are, and then we're actually 5 because we're a family of 5, and my cousin's a family of 3, so it's like I know we're actually at 10. But just as I stare at the 2 people going, it's like anxiety. I'm trying to plan.
Right. I mean, that gets really frustrating because then you don't you have an idea of who's going to show up, but then at the same time, you still don't really know who's going to show up. And my cat's waiting to jump on me, and he's staring at me like drooling. It's really weird.
See,
Are
it
you
would be
foaming at the
it'd be
mouth?
one thing if it was it doesn't really matter, right? If it's just like another person I have to pass the meat horn to, essentially, like no big deal, whatever.
Right.
But I'm only worried because each person, if they want to participate in the blessing of the bunny and the beans, needs a fucking chocolate rabbit. So like this is literally like it's another thing I have to buy to make sure. And I know how I am and I know how my wife is. If someone shows up and doesn't have a fucking bunny, one of us 2 are going to go without, right? We're just going to do it. And I don't want that to happen. So I want to make sure that not only do we have enough, we have an extra 1 or 2 in case someone shows up that my wife or I don't have to go without.
Right.
Even though it is a thing for the kids, right? But it's something I want to do with my kids. That's why I'm putting it together. So,
Right. I mean, you're setting the example when you do it. So
and there's
it's kinda hard
that's
to-
kind of part of it too. I want to make sure that I'm doing it because I'm going to be leading it. So like, follow the leader. But on the same hand, the husband in me says, no, I go without. My wife will get the chance.
right.
So yeah, it's a very conflicting thing.
Understandably so. So, with all of that said, so I did do some looking up of Ostara things, which is not easily found, by the way.
Well, it depends what you mean.
This is true because there's like
If you're
There's
looking for Wiccan
Ostara.
Ostara, you can be all over that shit.
yeah, there's a
Right.
ton of that.
If you're looking for the goddess Ostara, a lot
Mm,
less. If
yeah.
you're looking for, what is it, Estora? Or
Yeah,
Estora, whatever.
It's however you pronounce it.
Pretty much so non-existent. Outside of, what is it? The bead does, I think it's bead.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
There's a writer who, says her name in passing.
Anyway, so basically, Fro, I think you might have said it last week, or maybe you said it this week. I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. Ostara is basically being the pagan version of Easter. It can also kind of coincides with like the spring equinox as well, or
It,
like
it
kind of
is
like a
the spring
spring,
equinox.
yeah, the spring festivus. So, fun fact for
Oh
anybody
my god.
listening.
I hate to interrupt you again. It's been one of them days. I'm sorry.
Apparently,
I told my Christian buddy at work about how, like, hey, funny story. I'm technically a reverend now. And he heard about me getting ordained, right? I'm like, yeah, but technically because the ordained shit, like, I'm a reverend, like, technically, legally now. And, like, I'm in the process of getting the official paperwork so I can actually legally marry people. But yeah, I was explaining that to him, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, but you don't actually preach. I was just caught off guard when you said, that you're a reverend. I'm like, well, no, I don't preach per se, but I'm going to be leading like a little ritual. I started telling about the Ostar ritual, and he's like, oh yeah, when's that? And I'm like, and I started thinking about like the easiest way to explain it to him being a Christian. I'm like, it's your Easter, essentially. He's like, you're doing it on Easter? And I'm like, well, no, but yes, but no. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, it's on the spring equinox, but the equinox is on a Monday, so we're going to do it the day before, which is technically Easter. He's like, well, that just seems like it's really... Oh, God, he didn't say sacrilegious, but he's like, you just got a real hatred for Christianity if you're going to be doing it on that day, don't you? And I'm like, well, technically we were doing it before you guys, so no. And he just kind of glared at me. It's like, bud, why do you think they picked that fucking day? Like, I'm just saying, like...
that's fair. That's very fair. But I want to bring this up because I actually looked this up for the year. The actual spring equinox is on March 20th.
Yep. Monday, March 20th.
Yep. And then Easter is like April something.
No.
I'm pretty sure. Because I have the week of the
Because
Friday
I'm pretty sure it's
and
March 19th.
Easter 2023. Easter 2023 is April 9th.
Then what the fuck is the 19th?
I have no idea. Because I don't really follow the Christian stuff. But I specifically took the calendar holiday. Oh, I can't see that board behind me. But I have the Friday before.
No, I gotta be checking some shit out.
So I have the Friday before Easter and then the Monday after Easter off specifically. So I one have a long weekend, and two, we can make more of a thing of it this year. So for me and my family, we're not doing a big gathering like Fro is. So it's just gonna be me and the kids and the wife, as it usually is. Now, one of the things that we've always kind of done, because we've always done Easter, but Easter Bunny for the kids. Beyond that, we haven't done anything else for Easter. But one of the things that we do every year is we do like a scavenger hunt Easter
Dude, I
egg.
have no idea why the fuck I thought it was on the 19th.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, besides the fact that I have no idea when Easter's supposed to be.
Well, it changes every year. Which I think is funny, which I could get on a complete rant about that, on how...
Just don't ask me why it changes, because I have not a fucking clue.
I looked it up and I forgot exactly what the reasoning is, but it has
didn't look it up, and I really could not give a fuck less why Easter changes every day, or every year. I just thought it was on the 19th for whatever fucking reason. People in my Facebook group probably think I'm pretty fucking dumb when I said that we're having the gathering on the 19th, same day as Easter.
Yeah, nope, you are way off, my friend.
Why are you waiting until we're live recording to fix me? You're in that Facebook group too. You responded to the post. Why? You liked it. Why didn't you fucking tell me I'm dumb before this? Like, what are we going to do now? Now's not a good time. Now's not a good time for me to be dumb, okay?
But this is
very inconvenient.
In all fairness, you're doing it closer to the equinox than I am. So I look like the idiot who's actually doing it on Easter. Because we are literally going to be doing it on Easter. Anyway, so we always do for the not visual viewers. He gave me the finger. I love you too, Fro. Anyway, so every year we always do a
I fucking
scavenger
put
hunt.
March 19th, Easter Day, right in there. God, and nobody said a fucking... There's 20 comments on this post. 20 motherfucking comments. Not a fucking person said a goddamn thing.
To be fair, maybe none of them realize it's not Easter either. I mean, it's a Facebook group full of pagans, so... And since it changes dates every year. Anyway.
Was that Easter last year? When was Easter last year?
Oh, let's look it up. Easter 2022. April 17th.
It was not even... Oh, I guess it was the 17th. But it's not even... It's further away.
April 2021 was April 4th. 2020.
It's in April. It's just always in April, isn't
April
it?
12th?
I'm just not even the right fucking month. I'm in the completely wrong month. There's just nothing that happens in March. I thought something
April
happens
21st.
in March. Right, you got January, it's New Year. February, everyone fucks on Valentine's. You got fucking Easter in March, right? Everybody gets stoned in April. We drink cervezas in fucking May. Like, I just thought this shit is how it worked out. Apparently, we don't do shit in March. We don't do shit. We get stoned and thank Jesus all in the same month. That is reserved purely for April. I'm dumb. Ignore Fro.
So, Easter is a movable feast that happens between March 22nd and April 25th every year. Easter Sunday always occurs on the first Sunday after the Paschal full moon.
What's a Paschal full moon? I should know this one. I feel like that one I should know.
The Paschal full moon is the spring equinox moon.
Okay.
So for us, if we want to be as close to probably,
so it's always just the month after.
Done,
so
it's the following Sunday, is what it's supposed to be. So like the spring equinox is on
the 19th. So then it should be the March fucking.
Well, yeah, then
March
it should
25th,
be technically 26th, yeah. But instead, they've pushed it out to the 9th. So that's a little weird. Huh, I don't know. I don't understand why they did it.
I don't get it. I don't get it either.
At this point, they were just
it's really hard to keep track of moon names because, like, first off,
so many of them.
They change, and secondly, like, do you know there's a name? Let's see, blue moon's a good example, right? A blue moon could be the 13th full moon in the year, or it could be the second blue moon in a month, or the second full moon in a month. Because some months, with how the days work, right, with the lunar cycle, blah, 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 some months can have 2 full moons at the very, very start of it, the very end of it. Both could be blue moon. Or there's just so many things, like the flower moon. You know what the flower moon is?
No idea.
The full moon in May.
I should know that.
That is it. That's it. It's just the full moon in May. If it's May and it's a full moon, flower moon.
Huh. You would think I would know that because I'm
what?
a May child.
That's how I know. Hey, your birthday's in May too?
Yeah.
No need to get into dates, but beginning or end? I was waiting for you to answer. What are you doing with your finger here? Tell me, beginning or end?
May 1st.
Oh, okay. Well, hell yeah, yay, Taurus Club, yay.
Yay.
Except for I don't believe in horoscopes because essentialism's stupid. I'm sorry, listeners.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Essentialism, I think, is very. Well, tell you what. You tell me what really makes you so fucking special, and I'll tell you why your essentialism sounds really fucking dumb. That's all I got. That's all I got for that one.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's always hard to tell a princess they're not
everyone.
really special. You know what I'm saying? Like the queen thinks that they definitely were born with the right to rule, while you go, says who?
It's a very Taurus way of thinking of things, Fro.
Shut the fuck up. I just don't like horoscopes, right? Because you like, how many times do you see that? Like, you have that coworker and she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so rude. Just Mercury's rising. I'm like, no, you're a bitch. That's just how that works out. Like, Mercury rising was last week and this week and the week after that. Like, just every fucking time I run into you, Mercury's rising, you bitch. Like, I have one particular coworker that me and this gentleman don't see eye to eye. But he is a bit one of these people, and I'm like, oh my god, you are literally being the stereotype of why I don't like these people. By these people, I mean like the ones who like hardcore essentialism. Like, I don't have a problem. Like, I think the horoscope can definitely be useful, right?
Right.
Like, there's a place for it. Like, reading your daily horoscope, there is. While all of them are so vague that they're meant to apply to anyone wholeheartedly, I think there's something to be said about a little bit of serendipity in the world, right? So while I may not care about essentialism, I am a Taurus, and I know I'm a Taurus, according to all the charts. So I will actually occasionally read one of those, right? Like, if I see the horoscopes or some shit like that, out of the 12, there's only one I'm going to read, right? And it's going to be the Taurus one, because that's what I am. And of course, that'll loosely pertain to me, but I only ever read them once a month, if that, right? So the chances of me reading this one out of the 12, there's a little bit of serendipity that could be had there, you know? But generally.
I mean, I'm not too big into the horoscope. Like, I enjoy them occasionally, like here and there. Like, well, if I see it on something, or if something pops up on my phone or on my computer or something like that, I might read, oh, what's this fun little Taurus fact here? Or what character from Game of Thrones am I, depending on my zodiac? Like, I'll look at those just because they're funny. But
the mountain is always the mountain or the angry dude. Who's that little dwarf?
Tyrion Lannister, who's played by Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. And by the way,
I love Peter Dinklage.
I've never seen the show.
Actor.
I know nothing about the show, but I do know about horoscopes and how they like to stereotype. So that's why I say that will be Peter Dinklage or the Mountain, because that's just what the media would want a Taurus to be.
Sorry, little man. But yeah, I mean, that is what it is. Though, I mean, I wouldn't mind being Peter Dinklage. I mean,
I would.
I mean, he's like the most famous little person at this point.
I wouldn't want to be born with a disability. But I feel like that's a fair statement right there. Not that it's like too terribly hindering and he's been able to make the most advantage of it, but I'm not him. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would
That's
still
fair.
just be me. Just at a bit of a disadvantage at stuff. I'm not trying to say that like rude or anything. Like no disadvantage to any of the dwarfs out there. Anything or disadvantage. No disrespect to any of the dwarfs or anything like out there. But I think they would all pretty understand. I actually have a dwarf friend. So I've seen a little bit of like some of the day-to-day struggles. You know, it's definitely more easier from it for the average person, generally.
Yeah,
I do gotta say though, my friend, he goes by his nickname. It was very, very rough to start calling him his nickname at first, because I was like, oh my god, his nickname is Shorty. I mean, I'm sure, you know, it's a lot of dwarves have had similar things like that, but like, he wholeheartedly just introduces himself as that, though.
I had a little person friend who introduced themselves as midget. That's what they went by.
That one would be real rough for me. That one would be real rough for me. Because of Shorty, I know about how that word isn't necessarily the best. So that would I'd be rough with. I'd be rough with that one, man. Oh. But
understandable. Anyway, let's get back on track.
Back on track.
So for our Ostora, we are actually doing it on Easter. So we are doing it that weekend of Easter. Now, every year, what we've normally done for Easter is we always, of course, do the atypical Easter egg hunt, which we're still planning on doing that.
What do you mean?
But then we
atypical?
do. Well, we just hide the eggs and then the kids go find them.
No, typical.
So yes, atypical Easter egg.
No, not atypical. Atypical means not typical.
I wasn't saying atypical. I was just saying it's atypical.
Boy, that's the same thing.
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna argue the nuances right now. We've been so way off track. I don't want to get off the track again. So
I apologize. I'll shut up so you can speak.
So
we're 40 minutes in and we have not got to you yet. I apologize.
But it's all been good ranting information that, for the most part, relates to Ostara. So, for the most part, anyway. So what we have normally done for Easter after the Easter egg hunt is we set up, mainly the wife has done it, but set up basically these little stations that have games or a craft thing that the kids have to do. And with each one they do, they get one more additional clue about where their baskets are. Or we've done it sometimes where the clue is to where the next station is located that they have to go find, because sometimes we'll hide the stations around the house and they have to pull it out and it's in a box or whatever. So we are taking that same concept that we've done every year, and we're going to, mainly me, my wife is going to probably put it all together, I'm just going to come up with it, so this year what I'm wanting to do is take a story out of the mythos and kind of take that and then theme the different things that the kids have to do after different parts of the story. Just because it's going to be in the same vein, but then it will still kind of be a way to help teach the kids more about different things.
I'm going to go punch my neighbor in the nutsack if they don't stop pounding on whatever the fuck they're pounding on over there.
They're being loud again?
Dude, I think he's locked out of his house.
That could be it. He's banging a lot. Is it loud? Because I can't hear it, obviously.
All right, we're good then.
Okay, because I can see your face and acknowledge the fact that you are clearly hearing something that's annoying the
That's honestly the worst part, dude. It's I'm trying to listen, and it's almost like because it's my next door neighbor. It's almost like someone knocking on my door, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So that's why it's
that.
Anyways.
So yeah, we're gonna take this the whole scavenger hunt and the different activity stuff that we do, and we're going to theme that into some story out of the mythology or something, or we'll just kind of theme it generally too if we can't decide on a specific story. Because I've been looking at a lot of different stories and I'm so torn. There is the one about where Thor goes to Jotunheim and they do all the different activities and stuff.
So
he ends up drinking from the ocean.
Have you seen the Northwoods Kindred's Ostara Quest video?
Yes, that is
where you got a lot of inspiration from.
Well, we had,
or where you're getting inspiration for this one. Yeah.
Yeah. For that particular one, yeah, I might lend strongly from theirs for similar activities. The only thing is that, the one that they posted was with all their kids kind of grown up. we
Yeah,
have
right.
a 15-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 5-year-old, so I can't exactly have them go lifting tires or something.
Well, yeah,
like that.
that's why someone suggested that for me when I was like, hey, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for Ostara. I was half-ass kicking around Ostara Quest 2, and they're like, yeah, what about that? And I'm like, we're at a public place. Like, you had one where like you had to build a fire to burn a rope, which is really cool. I like the idea. Like,
Right.
in the future, maybe something similar, but like I can't do that at a park. Like, we can't have a big old tire conglomeration with chains and shit that needs moved. Like, just most of the stuff they did is like we couldn't manage. It just wouldn't work.
Right. I mean, a lot of that is real unrealistic for us with the age range of our kids.
But you know what? You
Plus,
could do
we have limited space. So I mean, that's why I'm like I'm so torn
you
on what
could
story to
do
use.
the egg spoon. Or no. If you were doing the one you were just talking about, right? For like one of the races, you could always do the egg on the spoon race. That's always a good one,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
right? To like represent the one race. And then you have eating contest. I mean, you buy bananas are fucking cheap, right? I guess you wouldn't really. I'm trying to think of a good thing you can eat a lot of that wouldn't like kill your stomach. Crackers or something. I don't know.
Probably popcorn because all the kids love popcorn.
Yeah, a little popcorn. Well, you can slam some fucking popcorn, dude. We all know. I've seen a movie theater bucket size of popcorn disappear with one person. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be the best.
I mean,
one.
I've done that myself.
Maybe
but, I mean,
apples,
you know, something
right? You
right.
shit your
But I mean,
pants eat too many apples.
we gotta find something that all three of the kids are gonna eat because our kids are unfortunately
That
picky.
one's on you. That one's on you.
Right. I mean, that's one thing in popcorn would be because all three of our kids will eat popcorn. Generally, I should say. So yeah, the whole thing is.
Hold up.
Hmm.
Line the popcorn. You could always like line popcorn up in a row. And they gotta like eat it off the table, racing like Loki versus Loki.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And of course, and then plus that's a real good one because that one you can handicap the bigger kids by dropping 2 pieces of popcorn for each one, right? Versus like Cash is just one. Because, I mean, let's be real. We want to think about safety. We don't want kids to choke or anything like that. And you can potentially choke with some popcorn or something like that because it's dry kernels and stuff like that. So, I mean, they could easily turn into an M&M instead of a, popcorn, whatever. That wouldn't be a bad one.
Something that'll kind of get them into it. I'm excited to want to eat it and do all that jazz.
But you haven't even said if you're doing that story for sure anyways. But I think that story just makes it's nothing but contests, and contests are quickly and easily turned into games. So I think that's
right.
The one that just kind of
honestly
calls.
I mean, the whole concept of the story and the whole reason he goes is because winter has gone on too long or something like that. If I remember correctly, or like it snowed when it shouldn't have snowed. I forget exactly the context of why they go. But it has something to do with the fact that he goes to confront them about the weather, and it's like, why are you guys sending us cold weather, you ass?
Yeah, I honestly I don't remember why. I just remember like them arriving at a cave.
That's fair. Because I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to like. I want the story to convey springtime or relate to springtime in some way or fashion too, to lend to that whole like, hey, Ostara is about springtime, and encourage all of that. So once we have, they'll do the egg hunt, we'll do that, then we'll probably chill for most of the day, and then what I intend to do is something in the vein of the whole, similar to how you guys are doing the eggs for you, where you're gonna probably put like a rune on the egg. And then we'll probably, assuming that it's not crappy outside or hasn't frozen over again, I will probably do the whole burying of the egg. Because I like that concept of that and that kind of little ritual behind it. And then from there, we'll probably do kind of just a general like ritual, like offering to the gods. Because we usually do... because my wife being from a major Italian family, anytime there's a holiday, it's cooking galore, and yeah, it's food and we bring out the ham, we bring out all the fixins, and it's all gotta be there. So We'll probably
Oh.
do.
My God, you bring up ham, and I have to real quickly bring up my daughter's birthday party. I'm not sure if I brought this up or not, but she has a friend who's Muslim, right?
Oh.
And well, it don't really matter to me. In this area, like I don't think the lady has picked up that we're pagan and all that, but we've already chatted, and I think she's already keyed in that like, hey, super Christian area, but like we're cool, right? But yeah,
That's fair.
my daughter we were talking about how we're gonna have pizza or whatever for her birthday. My daughter chimes up, and this is how I found out her friend's Muslim. Not that I do not give a fuck at all. Well, aside from like the accommodations that need to be made, and that's what I'm bringing this up for. She's like, hey, my friend cannot have pepperonis at all. We have to have a cheese pizza. She can't eat pork. Like, okay, well that's really cool. And it was one of the ones like I was kind of just like happy because my daughter was just like, nope, we gotta make sure my friends get taken care of. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. That makes me happy.
See, I mean that is really cool. Like, because like you see so many kids nowadays who are like, yeah, I'm gonna throw a tantrum because it's not the way that I want it, and I don't care about anybody else. Me, 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 me. That looks really bad on my Audacity, by the way.
I'm not gonna lie. Voice or Discord cut out a huge chunk of that. All I heard you was doing
fair.
a Beaker impression. So,
yeah, basically. So yeah, it looks terrible on the Audacity because it's all kinds of just icky looking. But I mean, the point is, yeah, just most kids these days are just little shitheads. And that's really cool that your daughter was like, nope, I want to make sure that my friend has the accommodation that they need because of this, that, or the other thing. And that's really cool.
my kid's gonna have my youngest one is gonna have the realization that mama bear's not always needed. She's that one. She wants to make sure everyone gets taken care of, and it's gonna be like, well, first off, you also need to make sure yourself is taken care of, and secondly, sometimes you have to wait for people to ask for help before you give the help. So it's one of the ones like it's a quality you love the kids to have, but it's such a shame to watch them have to fucking pull it back. But it does have to be done because you don't just go around helping people unless they actually need and want it, right? Or I guess
this is true.
They don't necessarily have to need your help in order for you to offer it, but they definitely have to want it.
Right. They have to be willing to accept the help.
Yeah. Unwanted help that is given is nothing but a hindrance. I'm sorry, people. I have a mother that does this all the fucking time. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. Unwanted help that is given is a hindrance. And it's the opposite of help. So.
Very much so.
Continue on with your story, Beard.
Sure. So,
yeah, so your ritual, not your story.
Yeah. So we'll probably take, because one of the things we do for the eggs is we do plastic eggs full of candy for the kids, but then we also do real eggs that we usually boil and decorate the night before. So what I'm going to probably do is out of those real eggs, probably set aside a couple that we can use, probably one each. So that way, either before or after we do the little offering ritual and give thanks and, leave out a plate, we'll probably do the egg thing that you talked about in your last one, where either they write a message on the egg or they put a rune on the egg, or they'll put something else on the egg outside of what we decorated the eggs with, and then we'll bury that egg as a symbol of spring and giving new life and all that. And that's kind of, I mean, it's the short and sweet version of it, because I also don't want us to run over too terribly. But I also don't.
Take your time.
You have this big like scripted thing. I've never really
the big scripted thing because I'm going to be in front of people,
and
that's
fair too. And I mean I'm wading new territory because one, I have to keep it simple enough for the kids so they understand and they can slowly build on these concepts, because we're introducing more of it. Like the kids will always kind of know.
Same hand have to provide enough sustenance that your rest of your family feels satiated with a holiday happened.
Right. So it's like we're not trying to like force feed it into the kids, but we're not trying to not have them understand what's happening, kind of thing. Because like
Well,
Cash is all about it. Like Cash is like, yes, Dad does this. I want to do it too.
well, yeah, and it's a little bit of like, let's admit it, out of all the like holidays out there, specifically like Christian holidays, like religious holidays, there are two cool ones, right? Easter, cause candy, and Christmas, cause presents, right? As a kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
You can't just come in and take one of the two coolest holidays for a kid, right? Because let's admit it, for a kid, there's 3 or 4, right? Fireworks on 4th of July and Halloween, right? The rest of the holidays, kids don't really give a fuck about. They really don't. Like Thanksgiving for them, whatever, they don't give a shit. Like, unless you're taking them shopping the next day, and even then, they don't give a shit about the shopping. They just want the stuff you're buying, right? So it's really those 4, right? So you're taking a quarter of the cool-ass holidays. You better have something in return, right? You just can't come in and be like, for the kids at least, right?
Right.
Because they're going to want to resist it a little bit. That's why with my kids, and I brought this up, Easter Bunny, gone. Ostara Bunny, in. Who brings presents this year? Ostara Bunny. Are we going on an Easter egg hunt? Ostara Bunny hunt. Like, that's just how that is. Like, this is how we're going to do it here. Especially since my kids, they only got like, already kind of were like, hey, I think Santa doesn't exist. And I'm like, well, maybe that's on you to figure it out. Right? And then they're like, well, I'm not sure if the Easter Bunny exists. Because I was half-assed explaining the Ostara Bunny to them. And they're like, I'm not even sure about the Easter Bunny. I'm like, well, then I guess you're unsure about the Ostara Bunny too, then. That's just how that's going to work, child.
Yeah, I mean, we have to play it.
Oh, no, frozen
interesting.
Beard.
Uh-oh, I'm frozen?
Yeah, on camera. You're good, though. We're good. We'll
Okay.
run with it. You're just perpetually staring down.
Oh, am I? Oh, that's not good.
I'll just pretend like Binks is bothering you for the rest of the episode.
That might be what it, even though he's not in my lap anymore. He was for a little bit, but not anymore. Anyway, so like with our 2 older kids, my stepkids, you were just laughing at me, aren't you? Because am I like that frozen?
It's just funny. It's just funny.
And it's fair. So like our 2 older kids, they are aware of, and I have to be careful here because Cash is about. So they're in the know. Cash obviously isn't in the know. So he understands from the last year with Easter. So he gets the concept of what happens on Easter. And he understood what was happening on Christmas because of school and stuff. So, we had to explain to him, there's Christmas and then there was
his birth.
Yeah, and then there's Yule. So we kind of like, we're doing both at the same time is how we explained it to him. But as we get kind of further into things, we're going to slowly kind of, in the next couple of years, start to drop stuff off and then just be, okay, it is just Ostara, it is just Yule, it is just this. And move away from it slowly because of, he already knows what, he like Easter, because that's what they're going to talk about at kindergarten, is Easter this, Easter that, Easter this. Christmas time is going to come around. It's going to be Christmas. So, you can't, it's hard to deal with that with a 5-year-old. Whereas the older kids are like, oh,
well, I guess with that, dear listeners, we found out why Beard's camera froze. Will he come back? I don't know. Am I calling at the end of the episode? Yes, I am. Enjoy.